Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Whitacre, trauma specialist, and today's topic is how autism presents in females versus males. According to 2023 data that just came out last month in March by the CDC, approximately 1 in 36 children in the United States is diagnosed with autism, and boys are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. The increase in autism prevalence is largely due to advances in diagnostic capabilities and a greater understanding and public awareness of what autism spectrum disorder actually is. While it's true that researchers don't know exactly how many people in the United States actually have autism, it's likely that those numbers will continue to grow. It's also likely that millions of autistic people are walking around right now who don't know that they're autistic, just like I used to do. I was diagnosed in my late 40s and I had no idea or even an inkling until my mid 40s that I might have autism. I spent most of my life camouflaging, ableizing, and chameleoning my way through life. Is chameleoning a word? I don't know. If not, it is now. I'm Jennifer Whitacre, trauma specialist, autistic individual, and welcome back to my channel. It's great to have you here. Please like, share, subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss any videos. This particular series on autism is really important. Just because I know from personal experience, whether you're autistic or not, how important it is to have at least some surface knowledge of autism and what it is. So let's get back into the topic of autism, because today I really want to focus on why autism is so much more prevalent in boys and men than it is in girls and women. And I want to talk about why it is that males are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than females are. Now, one reason I've already mentioned, advances in diagnostic criteria and a deeper understanding of what autism actually is has increased the numbers of diagnosed autistic people in general. And while it's true that fewer people are slipping through the cracks, it's also true that way too many people are still misdiagnosed or overlooked altogether. And unfortunately, the DSM-5, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, hasn't caught up yet. And unfortunately, that's not unusual because it's usually the mainstream belief system that's the last to catch on to the latest research. So who knows when the DSM will catch up. But right now, we're in a bit of a quagmire because of it. Now, one major advance in accurately diagnosing autism that's crucial to understand is that autism presents differently in males and females. And there's a very, very good chance that these differences underlie why 4 times more males are actually diagnosed than females. The current criteria in the DSM is skewed in favor of how autism presents in males, and it's created a stereotype of autism that doesn't hold true throughout the entire autism spectrum. We need to think of autism we tend to think of autism as being only a condition in males. And at one point in time, it was traditionally described as being extreme maleness. And this is how early psychologists considered autism. And so this extreme male brain theory suggests that autistic people intellectually process the world through a male lens and are interested in stereotypically male topics, whatever that means. I guess stereotypically male topics include things like how trains work or weather patterns or timetables. I don't know that those are authentically male or uniquely male, but that's the weird belief. This theory only pertains to 2 categories of cognition, though, which is systematizing and the ability to intuit another's emotions. So it's certainly not by any means an accurate measure of autism or what it actually is. However, this early belief by psychologists that's already been debunked to some degree is a reason why that these stereotypes that don't hold true still exist. And there is a reason why those of us in the autistic community say, if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, because we are not all the same. And there are important distinctions that have come to light about how autism presents in females versus males. And there is a much wider variety of autistic presentation than was originally imagined. So, like countless other females, for close to 50 years, I never imagined that I might be autistic because I didn't relate at all to the stereotype of autism and Asperger's that was created by several things, including the DSM criteria and the early psychological perspectives that I just mentioned. As well as other pop culture things like movies and TV shows. So think things like Rain Man or The Big Bang Theory or The Good Doctor or Atypical. So like so many of you, because of these stereotypes, I didn't know what I didn't know about autism until I decided to take it upon myself to learn more about it. So I started reading articles and I read several books, and there were two books in particular that really stood out to me: Autism in Heels by Jennifer Cook O'Toole and Nerdy, Shy, and Socially Inappropriate by Cynthia Kim. I saw myself in both of those books, and they showed me a very different presentation of autism than I had ever imagined prior to reading them. Autism in Heels is the book that convinced me to get evaluated and ultimately led to my diagnosis. Now, I hope you're wondering, what did she learn? What were some of these differences that convinced her to get evaluated? So that's what I'm going to talk about today, are several of the differences in how autism presents in females versus males. And I wanted to share some of that information with all of you today so you could start to understand as well. And just a quick note before I get into this is not about gender differences. Sex and gender are different. I'm specifically talking about male and female, which is related to sex, not masculine and feminine, which is about gender. So one of the biggest differences that people notice is males tend to have more socio-communication troubles and are more likely to be loners, while females tend to have more drive to be sociable. And biologically speaking, males and females tend to interact differently. Females in general are more socially oriented than males, and this has a lot to do with the hunting and gathering origins of humans. Hunting is more of an individual or loner task, while gathering is more of a group or social task. So it's no surprise that males present with different social symptoms than females do. Females might be more socially adept, and even so, they still face a range of struggles when it comes to friendships and social interactions. Having a social group and being included, even if it's only a surface level of inclusion, with the other girls kind of tolerating the autistic girl, that's one reason why female autism is often minimized or overlooked, because to the adult, it seems as if the female has a social circle where she might really be struggling to fit in and be included. Autistic or not, females in general feel more pressure to fit in with their social groups. And that's why autistic females are more likely to camouflage, even though everyone camouflages. Even neurotypical people camouflage. It just tends to happen disproportionately more often with autistic females. So camouflaging is what happens when an autistic person tries to hide their autism so they appear less different than everyone else. And this might include forcing oneself to make eye contact, or pretending to be brave in a new situation or a new environment when what we're really feeling on the inside is shy and uncertain. So if you've heard the phrase "when in Rome," it's a little like that. So the impulse to hide our autistic qualities and characteristics is rooted in the stigma that comes with being autistic. Now, another major difference is interests. One of the diagnostic criteria in the DSM states that repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. So the reality is that this isn't necessarily true, especially for autistic females, and calling them restricted interests. Again, that's a little skewed. Autistic females may present with the same intense level of interest as males. However, the things that autistic females find interesting tend to be more normal and socially acceptable. So, for example, an autistic male might really go down the rabbit hole of, like how a certain machine works, or, like how the mechanics of something works, which, if you're a young child and you're taking that deep dive, that might not be considered a normal or socially acceptable interest. However, females might be interested in horses or ponies or unicorns, which is a pretty normal interest for a young girl. However, she still might be hyper focused, and it might go unnoticed, because with a female, because the interest itself is more normal, the interest level might be to the point of obsession. So the autistic female who has the normal interest might know everything there is to know about a horse, every little minute detail fact that you can think of, which again could be obsessive, but again, it flies under the radar because of the social acceptableness or not of the interest itself. Now, keep in mind, humans wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't know what we know. We wouldn't have the technological advances that we have, and we wouldn't have the societal structures that we have if it weren't for people having niche interests and taking deep, deep dives into a singular topic. I mean, my goodness, think of all the things, like we wouldn't have the medicine we have. I could go on, but I won't. Another difference is speech. Males are more likely to present with proper speech, unusual patterns of speech, and even to use extreme logic when they speak. Females appear to have more normal speech because they're more likely to script or practice. Like, I know I'm going to have a conversation with so-and-so tomorrow, so I might rehearse in my head today and most of the evening and even in the morning what I'm going to say, how's that conversation going to go. Females are more likely to copy their peers and even what they see on popular TV shows when it comes to social interactions and communicating. So again, we can chameleon and camouflage our way through and find ways to fit in, even though we're struggling so much. Another difference is autistic males are more likely to develop rituals and routines because the consistency can help them feel more safe, stable, and secure. Autistic females might not have the rituals and routines, but they may present as being more organized. And since being organized is considered a quote good thing, autistic females might be overlooked as needing help or accommodation, or the organization, again, even if it's obsessive, might be overlooked because of societal attitudes around what it means to be organized. Now, another difference is meltdowns and shutdowns. The meltdowns or shutdowns of an autistic male may present with anger, aggression, and physical outbursts, and these can happen anywhere. Autistic females are less likely to have the physical outbursts when they experience a meltdown or a shutdown, and they might be perceived in those moments as just being whiny or overly dramatic, a little bit extra. And this misses what is actually happening, because physiologically there are different things happening inside the body, from a physiological perspective during a meltdown, during a shutdown, and during a temper tantrum. There are 3 different things. So if you're not sure about what that is, go to my video in my Understanding Autism playlist and watch the video called Meltdown, Shutdown, or Tantrum. Females are more likely to have these experiences at home, whereas males might have them anywhere, including out in public. So the behaviors may not be acknowledged as a sign or symptom of autism. They might not become a concern because they're not disruptive in public. Therefore, these behaviors are more likely to be punished or disciplined, which is highly, highly traumatic to have a physiological process disciplined. So this is not by any means a comprehensive list. So another example, again, that's not on the visual I just showed you, is stemming. Stemming behaviors in autistic males may be more exaggerated than they are in females. So males are more likely to, have like flapping hands. I'm not saying that women don't or females don't. They might rock back and forth, they might pound their head, but there's more likely to be an overt display of gestures. In autistic females, the stemming behaviors may look more like neurotypical stemming behaviors, like twirling your hair, spinning in your chair, or even internal stems like counting to yourself inside your head as you walk down the sidewalk, or tracing patterns with your eyes. And you did hear me right a minute ago, neurotypical people stem too. So again, if you want to learn more about stemming in the same Understanding Autism playlist, watch my video on stemming. But really today, I wanted to bring awareness around how autism presents differently in males and females, because this is one reason why females aren't diagnosed nearly as often as males. In my personal experience, knowing that I'm autistic has helped me understand my life in a way that actually makes sense to me. I've learned, and I'm still learning, so much about myself. And with that, is this side effect of self-acceptance, which I didn't see that side effect coming. And so that's why this is such an important issue, not only to me and other autistic folks, but to the people in their lives. How many other women out there, I often wonder, don't know they're autistic? And how many other women might be able to accept themselves if they knew it was their wiring or their nervous system and not some personal failing or default? So if you're female and you think you might be autistic, look below, because I'm including a link to what's called the Chameleon Quotient Quiz. Now, this will not give you a diagnosis, but it is a valuable instrument for quantifying where you might fall on the autism continuum. And even if you're not autistic, you can take the quiz and you'll see that you are very low on the autism continuum, but you will find a link below in the description. All right, so I hope this has helped you understand just a little bit better about different presentations, and I hope this encourages you to take a deeper dive on your own to look into this topic. And I hope you found this information helpful, and I hope you've learned something today. Please like, share, subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss anything. All right, everyone, I will see you next time. Happy self-discovery.